Jeff Slauson here from 19 News Now at the 19 News Digital Desk. We've been following this all day. Mass evacuations in Akron due to a hazmat situation at a business that has caused quite a bit of chaos here. I want to get to Kelly Kennedy, my colleague, who's been on the scene there for a few hours now. Not take any of the info away from her, but Kelly, this has been a pretty insane situation here. Was watching one of your live shots earlier, and that smoke seems to be still going pretty strong.
Yeah, Jeff, you know what? It's actually a lot less than it was when we first got here a couple of hours ago. I'm going to step out so you could get a little bit of a closer look. It's definitely significantly faded from what it was at first. It was that thick black smoke. Now it's like a little bit of a lighter gray, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. Of course, I'm not an expert. We know there are some very flammable, explosive chemicals inside that laboratory: propane, methanol, and xylene. The last update we got from the city on this was about an hour ago at that press conference. They told us that everyone was still evacuated. Everyone within a half a mile of that laboratory is evacuated at this point, and if anyone was still inside, they were wanting to make sure they got them out of their homes, out of their businesses as soon as possible, just because they already had one small explosion at about 3 o'clock. They don't know if they'll have another explosion. They're obviously trying to prevent that. I spoke with one man who lives actually just a couple blocks from where we are right now. We're on Triplet in South Arlington, which is about a mile, 1.2 miles away from where this laboratory is. He tells me he was home when that first explosion came. He said it was loud. It shook his whole house. So it was definitely pretty significant, and that was a smaller one. The city called that a smaller explosion. So hopefully they will be able to prevent anything larger. Like I said, from what we can see right now, it does look like the smoke has somewhat dissipated. There still is smoke, and again, we're more than a mile away, but we're hoping that might be good news.
Kelly Kennedy, thank you so much. I will ask, if you don't mind, just kind of positioning the camera toward the smoke.
Sure.
I'm going to be explaining some things then, if that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
All right, Kelly Kennedy, you will see her
Steve,
again.
just point the camera.
I believe coming up on 19 News at 7 o'clock. While we continue to show you a live look of that smoke, as Kelly mentioned, that is starting to go down quite a bit. I want to explain to you the contaminants that are currently being burned off right now, or at least in part potentially being burned off there. We have propane, we have xylene, and we have methanol. So what we have is the North American Emergency Response Guidebook. We will use this consistently to try and determine when an emergency happens, how first responders would look at it. They all have the guidebook as well. Now, according to the guidebook, at least for propane, they list that as extremely flammable. Vapors may cause dizziness or asphyxiation without warning, could cause burns, severe injury, frostbite. A fire may produce irritating and toxic gases. The cylinders, if exposed to fire, could release flammable gas. So they suggest actually a perimeter of 1 mile if a fire is located around propane tanks. Obviously, this is a half mile, so unsure why the decision was made from Akron based off of this, but that can be very much so problematic. Now let's go to xylene, the second of 3 chemicals that are involved in this. They say that that is highly flammable, may cause toxic effects if inhaled or absorbed through the skin, irritating or burned skin and eyes, irritating and corrosive gases, dizziness and asphyxiation. And this one is really kind of terrifying here, as you see a firefighter on the top there attacking the flames. There's a concern for environmental contamination with xylene. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. East Palestine is something where we saw runoff like this. Obviously, an explosion had to take place, but the environmental contamination with that cannot be known for years. And that obviously is a very big concern in a situation like this. The last one is methanol. Toxic and may be fatal if inhaled, ingested, or absorbed through the skin. This one is listed as highly flammable, will be easily ignited by heat, sparks, or flames. So methanol, in this situation, those explosion potentials that Kelly was talking about, the explosion potential which led to the half-mile radius, that's the real concern. You could see the potential for some sort of a problem immediately with something like that. Now, they list this one, at least in part, for the evacuation zone to be a half mile, despite the fact, obviously, with how flammable it can be. So an incredibly dangerous, incredibly problematic situation that is currently unfolding there. You're seeing on the top as one of the fire crews really engaging with the fire. Now, our Brian Duffy had a report from one of the officials on the scene that there wasn't a firefighter directly engaging with it. That obviously is incorrect information that we received, because as you can see there, we're getting some sort of a fire attacked from the top there, that black, dark black smoke starting to dissipate even more. Hold on once. And of course, as we continue to follow this and continue to track this, I want to remind everybody that as of right now, we have no injuries reported. You heard Kelly there talking about how the scene's been very active, and one person said he heard the explosion. I can't even imagine how loud that must have been. All right, we're going to let this stream go here. Kelly, I'm going to let you go on our end as well. We will see Kelly coming up on 19 News at 7 o'clock. I believe you will absolutely see me on 7 o'clock over on the CW as we break through this, talk through all of the aspects of this. Much more on this story and others tonight. Again, coming up, 19 News, 7 o'clock.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV. Search for
Kelly,
channel 1035.
stop for now. You guys are good.